Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bruno's MMA show. I am very happy to have my guest here, Mr. Tim Sylvia, former UFC heavyweight champion. Hello, Tim. How are you doing?
What's going on, Bruno? How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good, man. Let me tell you, when I saw that post on your Instagram about what happened, it just got my blood boiling. Like it's just one of those things where you wonder what the hell is going on. And I'm gonna let you tell the story, but basically, just my short version before you go into details. You have like an old injury from a fight when you were in the UFC, and that injury basically you needed like you needed like more taken care of with the doctor, and they wouldn't pay for it.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll let you tell the story in your own words. Go ahead because it's something that I think needs to be told.
Sure. Well, so I guess probably a couple years ago, my right forearm started bothering me, and I had a decent sized bump on it, and then as the months went by, summers came. I'm a contractor, so I'll grab ladders and stuff, and every time I started grabbing ladders, it started bothering me more and more and more. Then all of a sudden, it kind of like started like bleeding one day, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and then kind of figured out that the screws from the titanium plates I had in my forearm, the one on the very outside, the screws started backing out. So I was doing all kinds of home remedy methods. I was soaking it in Epsom salt and using witch hazel and stuff like that, and that helped. It dried it up, and as winter came around, it kind of went away, went back in. I was like, okay, whatever, just me. I don't know what happened. So then the summer came around again, and then another bump started showing up. And next thing I know, it's both things are bleeding. I got them bandaged up right now, and I've been taking care of them a lot. So I went to my doctor. I started at the gym. He's a personal friend of mine, a surgeon. He's the one who did all the surgery back in 2004. And I said, "What do you think's going on with this?" He's like, "It looks like your screws are backing out, Tim." I go, "Okay, so what do I do?" He's like, "Well, it was all covered under workman's comp through the UFC. That's how the surgery went. Let me have my office call them and tell them you need surgery to get to pull the plates out, and we'll take care of it." So, a couple weeks goes by, and they contacted me and said, "Tim, the UFC said you don't fight for them anymore, and you're no longer their concern." And I was like, "Well, I mean, this wouldn't. I mean, granted, I had no problem fighting. I loved it. I'd still do it today. My body allowed me. But I'm just like, well, that's kind of shitty. I mean, this broke happened in the UFC, and it was all coming under a workman's comp thing. And they're like, yeah, I don't know why the UFC is doing it. I don't know what to do. So this year it's kind of gotten really bad. The last 6 months it's always just bleeding and pussing, and I'm constantly keeping it bandaged up and stuff. And so I went and saw a lawyer, Vannigan's Law here in the Quad Cities. They're a big attorneys with uh, workman's comp and getting hurt on the job and stuff. And they looked into it for about a couple months, and they said unfortunately they couldn't do anything here in the Quad Cities. I had to hire an attorney in Las Vegas. And I just happened to see my doctor the other day, and he goes, "Man, look at that." He goes, "That's not looking good. You need to come into the office." So I went into the office, and he took X-rays, and he goes, "Tim, I'm really concerned about your well-being. I'm afraid you're gonna get infection in the bone, and we're gonna have to amputate." I'm like, "Well, I don't have insurance, man. I don't know what to do." And he's like, "You usually need it done." He goes, "We need to make an appointment." I go, "What's this gonna cost?" He's like, "I'll have my people call you and let you know." So they called me and said, "Unfortunately, it's a cash. It's a cash. You have no thing. You have to pay for it. We have to take. It's a $10,000 deposit, non-refundable, but it's going to cost more than that. So when you get here Tuesday at 11 a.m., make sure you have a check ready, and after the $10,000, you can make payments, and so on and so forth." I'm like, "Do you have a guesstimate what it's going to cost?" And they go, "I mean, it all depends on how long it's going to be in there, what you're going to need, how bad it is." They go, "But it shouldn't be more than $20,000." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So, I was just kind of frustrated with all that happening. And look, I've got probably 16 or 17 grand in the bank, but I'm not expecting to spend all that on my own. I mean, I have bills, I have house payments, I have vehicle payments, I have cell phones, I have a son I need to take care of. So, it's not me out there looking for a handout. I'm not trying to get people to give me money. My fiance is the one that started the GoFundMe, and she goes, "Look, start the GoFundMe. You're not doing it. You're not asking for people. But if you have fans out there and people that are willing to help you out, then take it." And I go, well, maybe if we do that, maybe the UFC will step up and be like, "Oh, wow, wait a minute. Tim
Yeah.
Sylvia is putting us on blast on social media. Why don't we just kick him, write him a check for 10 grand or just say, we'll take care of the hospital bills or fly me to Vegas and we'll do it out here, whatever. I don't care. But, this is going on now for 2 or 3 days now. And they haven't said anything. Some of the UFC staff have donated some money and stuff. The GoFundMe's up to just over 10 grand now. We set it at 20 grand because I don't know how long I'm going to be out of work for. I don't know if I'm going to be out of work for a week. I'm hoping, honestly, I told work that I'm having surgery Tuesday. I won't work Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll be back Thursday. I don't know if that's feasible. I like to think I'm a tough guy and I can tough it out and go back to work Thursday after surgery on Tuesday. We'll see. But it is what it is, and the fans have been absolutely amazing. I mean, I don't know how many people have donated. Like I said, it's over 10 grand now. I mean, I think there's probably been a handful of jerks who've talked kind of crap and be like, "Oh, you're a UFC fighter, you don't have money, you got a Ford Raptor." I'm like, "Yeah, my Ford Raptor's a 2012 that I traded a 2008 Jeep for." I mean, I'm not a rich guy. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a good job and I have a house and but I mean, I work. I work 40, 50 hours a week and I'm a contractor. I work for a roofing company and stuff, but I have bills and it's if I never fought in the UFC and they never paid for this to begin with, I wouldn't even ask them for the money. But it is what it is. I kind of think that they're responsible for it, and I think 20 grand to the UFC is literally like $5 to them. We all know Dana White's spending habits when he goes to casinos and strip clubs. He'll drop 10, 20, 30 grand when they go to those places. So I just think that they should just do the right thing. And I don't even care about, the Hall of Fame or any of that stuff. And fans are griping about that and stuff. It's like, man, a 5-time UFC heavyweight champion. I was with you guys for a long time, and I wasn't treated properly when I was there. And, you see what's going on right now with John Jones and stuff. I mean, he's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now. Number one guy, I think.
Mm.
And, they're treating him like crap. And he wants to be out of his contract. And there's so many guys that were in there that have been treated like crap and stuff. And it's too bad. I mean, I still love fighting. I love watching MMA. I watch UFC. I watch Bellator. I enjoy fights. I love watching them, and I watch as many as I can.
Yeah, man. And look, I want to address many things you said because I think in a situation like this, it's kind of sad that you have to explain yourself. Like you shouldn't have to, but because I know that there are people like that, right? And there are people who are like just I'm gonna go to a stereotype, but just like never did anything worthwhile or never even tried, never put their faces and like for the world to see whatever it is you do in life, whatever job you have, when you put yourself out there and you go like, this is me, this is what I'm doing. There's people who will never do that. They'll never like show themselves to the world. They'll just talk trash behind like some online account, and that's it. And so, not that you need to justify it, but for sure, like I want to address it. Like, you know what? You're saying you're not a rich guy, that you're contract. Well, you should be. You should be rich because it just pisses me off because
Yeah,
yeah, you know,
that was one of the reasons why we left the UFC. Um, when we were in the UFC, and I can't remember if I was the heavyweight champ or I was getting ready to fight for the title. I can't remember, but Brock Lesnar had just got signed, and we got wind of what his contract was. I'll be 100% honest, everybody. My contract for the UFC was $100,000 to show, another $100,000 to win. So if I won a fight, a world title, I won $200,000. Brock Lesnar got brought in the UFC with a $300,000 to show, $300,000 to win, and he got pay-per-view buys, usually $1 or even upwards of $2. So as well as I do, when those buys hit, he wins a fight, he's making over $1 million a fight. We said, look, I got 2 fights left in my contract. We want to renegotiate and sign a new contract. And they're like, well, what are you looking for, Tim? I was like, I want what Brock Lesnar does. They go, well, what does Brock Lesnar have? And we told him, it's like, yeah, that's ridiculous. You're not getting that. I go, okay, I got a plan for you guys. How about I fight Brock Lesnar, and if I win, I get his contract. They go,
Mm.
no, we're trying to build Brock. We want Brock to build up, and he's not ready for someone like you right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I fought my fight with Nagara, and it didn't. I was beating the hell out of him, and then I got caught and lost. So that didn't help my negotiation very well. We were planning on, we win this fight, we win the title again. They're gonna give it to us. They're gonna give it to us.
Mm.
And I had one more fight left, and said, hey, we're not happy with the contract, and they're like, you're more than welcome to leave if you want to leave and think you can do something elsewhere. So I'm like, okay, let me have my contract, and they did, and I went and fought for Affliction.
Yeah.
That fight didn't go as quick as well as it should have, and I lost that fight and had no bargaining tools either. But it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, if I had Brock Lesnar's contract, and I would have been happy, and I thought, a guy that only had one MMA fight comes in and he's making over $1 million a fight because he's a WWE guy. What
Yeah.
about your former heavyweight champ, 5-time, who's got 30 fights, who's
Yeah.
only lost 4 or 5? Why can't I get this contract? You're not using me to build me and stuff like that. I mean, I guess if I was more like Conor McGregor and talk the talk, I would make great big buddy. But that's just not me. That's not my personality. People might have thought I was cocky or arrogant, and I think when I was fighting, I had a chip on my shoulder. A lot had to do with my childhood, and a lot had to do with not being treated the way I felt I should be treated with the UFC. And I was very confident. And confident people might think the confidence was arrogant or cocky. I don't know, but I thought I was. Anytime I fought, I thought I was going to win. I was going to knock somebody out. That's how confident I was, and people took that as maybe arrogant or an asshole or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but people just don't get it. And look, I'm certainly not a professional fighter. I just practice martial arts, but I practice full contact, and like people I know think I'm weird for that. And so when you it's kind of like there's levels to it, right? Like just normal
Absolutely.
people think I'm weird. Now, let's say you do it amateur level, like, oh, you weirder, and like professional, like, you need to be in a mindset. I think, like when I'm sparring, I'm not the same guy when I'm like chilling, like so there's things
Not at
that,
all.
yeah,
And that's how everybody, when they watch my 30 minutes before a fight, they were doing, they'd come out a couple weeks before a fight, they'd film you. They would see the Tim Sylvia in fight mode. They
yeah,
would see, and, if I'm out and about in town and stuff, when I'm out and about in town, I'm still training for a fight. I'm in fight mode. I'm dieting.
yeah,
I'm angry because I hate dieting, and I know I'm getting ready to. I'm going through this hard ass training camp and getting beat up. If you had a training camp and you're not getting beat up, that's not a good training camp, and you're setting yourself up to lose a fight. My training camps were always involved with guys that were better than me. I brought in guys that were better at sparring. I brought in pro boxers. I brought in wrestlers. I had jiu-jitsu guys that were better than me. There was not a night that didn't go by in grappling or jiu-jitsu or wrestling that I didn't get taken down or I didn't tap out.
hmm,
During ground and pound nights, I would take 3 fresh guys, wrestlers, put me in a corner on my back and have them beat the shit out of me and defend, sweep, or get up for 5 minutes. And then I did that for 6 rounds with 3 guys.
yeah,
Those nights sucked. But
yeah.
the reward was at the end of the training camp, I got to go in there and fight in front of a crowd and put on a performance and hear that crowd roar. And, luckily I got to get paid for it as well.
Yeah. And I think that's something that needs to be said, like, I think people get weird when it comes to fighters, and I don't want to get too off track from your situation with your arm because I really want to address it, but we're talking about it. And, some people, it's like they expect that every fighter they see should be someone that would like to have a beer with them or something. Like they should be their friend. And I'm like, no, that guy is there to have a fight. And of course, like, I don't approve of terrible human beings. That's another conversation. But the fact that someone might be like very edgy or very direct or might not look like someone who would want to be your friend, like not all personalities clash. And there's this weird thing that the fan base has in MMA where it's like they want, it's kind of weird. They want like fearsome fighters, and then they want also the fighters to be like a cuddly teddy bear that would be their friend. It's really weird.
Right.
And like if someone comes to repair my wall, I'm not asking him to be like someone I would befriend. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Right.
again, it's just like people like to. Me personally, I love martial arts. I love to look at the fights. It's very technical for me, but there's people who kind of live like through the fighters, and then they kind of feel tougher because they criticize them, or they imagine like, oh, if I could hang out with this guy, and then if they see that their personalities wouldn't match, they're like, oh, I'm not a fan of this guy. I'm like, what do you want exactly? You know, like, but
Yeah.
it's just weird. It's just weird. And but to go back with the arm, because I really want to make a point of it. You know, like the arm injury happened in a UFC fight, and that's
Correct.
what's troubling to me because it's not like you had an injury after your UFC contract, and they're like, well, that has nothing to do with us, and your injury happened in a UFC fight. And I think that there's such a distorted view of the fan base has, like, oh, you must have money, you're a UFC champion, and people don't understand like how little like advantages come with that job. Even today, when maybe the pay maybe a bit better for champions, but it's not like what it should be.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I mean, $100,000, $200,000 for a fight. You only fight twice in that year. So if you win both fights, that's $400,000. So 20% of that goes to your manager, 10% of that goes towards your trainers, and 50% of the gross of the $400,000 goes towards taxes. So at least $200,000 that goes towards taxes. Then your manager just got $40,000. Then your trainers got $20,000, and it just does not last like people think it does.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Especially, and I don't want to make it political. Listen, I'm Canadian, but especially if you're in the U.S., you're a fighter, you're gonna get hurt. There might be long-term, like right now, what's happening to you. There's long-term
Exactly.
to take care of, and all that money, and like in Canada, yes, they pay for it. In the U.S., they don't, and that's something people have to
Right.
take care. Like
So
depending what
the
country they're
question
in.
is it my responsibility to pay for it? If the average Joe is working on a construction site and a 2x4 comes down and drops on his leg and it
Yeah,
gets broken and he goes and gets plates put in, it's covered under workman's comp.
yeah,
5 years later, 10 years later, these plates are bothering him. Does he go back to workman's comp or does he suck it up and pay for himself? He's going to say, hey, workman's comp, can you pay for this, please? So that's what
yeah,
I'm doing. I'm saying, hey, UFC, can you pay for this, please, with all this? And all the fans are like, no, you know what? Here's $5. Here's $10. Here's $20. Hope this helps you out, Tim. That sucks that the UFC is not doing it, but we loved you. We enjoyed watching you, and here's a little bit, and that's all it is. It's on my Instagram at Tim Sylvia MMA1. It's on my Facebook. It's on my Twitter. Um, like I said, not asking for a handout. I just really like to see the UFC step out and do something.
yeah. Because that's one thing to keep in mind, and I wanna again like the way I do these things, I always think of what people are gonna say next, and next and next. And to be honest, like the thing is that if it happened now, it can happen again. So any amount of money, it's not like you're guaranteed that now this fixes it forever. And
Correct. Well,
I
I
even think,
still have
yeah,
5 more plates in his hand and arm. I mean, is another one going to do it? Is that going to be another $20,000 down the road? I mean, when is this going to be enough? When's it going to stop?
yeah,
But I also hope this raises a little bit of awareness of the guys that are getting in the UFC right now and fighting and stuff. Think about this, guys. If anybody watching the show and you're fighters and you get into the big show, try to get into your contract. Say, hey, 10 years down the road, or what about the guys like some of my personal friends that fought in the UFC and kind of get discarded and thrown away? They're dealing with CTSC rate really bad right now. I got a couple buddies that are lost their memories. They can't remember the kids' names and stuff like
oh
that.
Jesus,
Yeah, what about these guys? I don't have that. It's not that serious right now, but there's things that are what's it gonna be like another 20 years down the road with some of these guys or these new kids getting in there, man. You guys need to think about your future and think about getting this stuff in your contract. If you get hurt, make sure these guys can cover you 20 years down the road. If you get plates in your hand or arm or leg or whatever, is Anderson Silva going to have any problems with his leg 10 years from now?
yeah. Even Tony Ferguson broke his arm in a fight back in the day, and he has, I think the same thing. So like
Yeah.
maybe I think that happens to him too. Like it's And
And if you still, so I thought 10 years past that, 10 or 12 years past the arm break. Look at the abuse I put my arm through in those 12 years after that. I won the world title again after my broken arm, so we're not easy. I mean, I think the average Joe, if you have plates put in, they're probably going to be okay with those plates. They won't have problems with it. But when you're still getting caught in arm bars and it's getting punched and kicked twice a night a week, that's the other thing.
yeah, blocking kicks, I imagine too. That must be.
Yeah, there was sometimes in training camps when I would block like high kicks and stuff, it would hit my arm and it would give me a stinger, and like my arm would just be like dead for a second. I had to stop middle of sparring and be like, hold on, give me 10 15 seconds to get the feeling back.
Yeah, because some people think that a metal plate means that now you can block better. Like it does not. Apparently, it does not work. No,
if you in wintertime when it's cold, if you're getting in your vehicle and you kind of like, and what kept probably another thing that kept bothering us and busting it open is when I get in my vehicle, I'd lean sideways to put my seatbelt on, and my arm would rub on the center console every single time, and then be scabbed up, then it'd bust open, and
yeah,
it's just a
headache. Bones are weird. Bones are weird, man. Like I in training one time, I just micro fracture of my foot. And and I kept training, and like it just lasted for months. Where listen, it's micro fracture. I'm not comparing, but what I mean is just to make an example. Just that one thing, I would just feel it all the effing time, all the time. So imagine like a real real fracture, having something like screwed in there permanently. Just for anyone watching, like. That little microfracture gave me an idea of like, wow, I cannot not think about it constantly. It's not that I couldn't function. It was just like a constant reminder. So imagine like I cannot even conceive of having like metal things screwed in there. And the fact that a company like UFC who makes so much money, just if only for appearance's sake, I don't know, like if not for the moral idea, but it's just me as a fan of MMA, I'm becoming very disillusioned, not with the athletes, not with martial arts, but I'm certainly the structure of it. I'm becoming very disillusioned, and it's just more and more like I'm starting to enjoy it less. I have to say it. I'm starting to, but I don't want to just drop it and be quiet. I want to address it. And like a story like yours, and whoever thinks it's a lot of money, like they have to understand all the things that can come with it physically in the long term. They need to be, they need to be addressed over the years. First of all, there might be terrible consequences. There might be terrible, like you said, like some of your friends can't remember their kids' names. Like, how is that not worth compensating? Like, how is that not worth a lot of money to compensate for? And but one issue I have is, you were talking about the contracts, and when I addressed that I was having a conversation with Mark Hunt in a previous episode, and he said like, no, the contracts are, like people who come in have no choice, and I think they set up such a structure, like it's just. But for a champion, no, the money you got, like in the long term, it's not that much because you have to continue addressing it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just. So, do you think I don't know, like, what solution? Let's say, like, kind of like as a closing statement, what solution do you think? Because I hear you for the contracts, and I was thinking that, but then like my conversation with Mark Hunt left me completely disillusioned regarding the idea of entry level fighters having fair contracts, right? It's just okay, it's not going to happen, but like a union, I guess, right?
That's the only thing that's going to save the sport, to be honest with you, and the fighters, is some sort of a fighters union or I mean, because at the end of the day, none of the UFC guys are getting paid what boxers get paid, and not all boxers are smart too. I mean, you look at Mike Tyson; he actually went flat broke once there, and he's actually doing well for himself now. But he legitimately went up flat broke, and how many millions of dollars did he make a fight? 20, 30, 40 million dollars each fight for 30 or 40 fights, and to go flat broke after that kind of money, I mean, you just need to be smart about things and make sure you set up your future and have, I don't know. I mean, definitely get health insurance. Don't be a dummy like me and not get it.
Yeah, I think like if money comes in, like investing some of it, like I don't know, real estate. I guess that's a good call. Real estate, just not necessarily investing in anything, but like safe stuff. Like putting money aside. I think for sure I think there has to be like a way to think long term. Like if any fighters are starting, like I think there's two ideas like that we could kind of conclude
It
on. Is
doesn't last forever, and your body doesn't hold forever. And there's one person that'll beat you every time, and that's Father Time.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can't beat Father Time at all, man.
yeah. And so setting money aside, like just calculate the costs. I guess I would say, and I hope entry level fighters will maybe see all of this happening. John Jones, Henry Cejudo, you know, like all the next ones coming, like who like I hope that they maybe the new upcoming fighters will have a different mentality when it comes to a union, when it comes to like that sort of thing. Because I understand it's difficult because fighters have to fight each other, so that doesn't lend to afterwards like shaking hands and working together. But they have to. They just have to. I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, listen, Tim. Thank you very much for sharing. Encourage everyone to go see his Instagram. Can you just repeat the Insta?
It's Tim Sylvia MMA1.
Very well. So just go check the Insta because it's worth seeing what happened to the arm. I think it's important to see. And let's.
My phone's gonna die. I want to plug it in.
Oh,
Yeah. So if you go to my my Instagram and it's Tim Sylvia MMA1. I mean, that's where the GoFundMe is. But you can also check out what's going on in my arm. I posted some videos and I showed some pictures of how bad it is. This one plate out. I'm still going to leave the other two in because they're not giving me any problems right now, and the two on the hand are staying in. But this one on the outside, the one giving me all the problems.
Well, Tim, listen, thank you very much for your time, and it's been a pleasure, man.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.